Good evening. My name is Josh Steffler and I'm totally new to this. I don't really have any experience in municipal council. I'm a baker. You might recognize me or remember me from the Fight HST campaign, which I was the riding captain for last year. Because of the Fight HST campaign, I saw how well referendum and direct democracy could work. And in Esquimalt, I saw decisions made behind closed doors and many decisions that were made when talking to residents. Many of us felt like we were not asked what council should do, but rather told what we will do by council. I'm concerned because I see this happening again with LRT, with the sewage treatment, and again, I believe that we're being told what to do and not asked what to do. I am worried about rising costs, rising taxes. As a small family, I know that I personally can't afford much more tax increases, and I think many of you feel the same way. Thank you. My vision for Esquimalt is for our future to no longer have this 3 p.m. traffic jam where nobody can get in or out of Esquimalt. I believe that it is government's job to facilitate the growth and decisions that the citizens desire. My vision would be an Esquimalt that believes strongly in property rights and helps citizens enjoy and enforce their own property rights. I don't think that Esquimalt is one giant homogeneous neighborhood. We are many neighborhoods that all have their own different feel, and as a council, we should help each neighborhood with the developments that they and the growth that they see fit, rather than tell everybody what you're going to do in this neighborhood or you're going to do in that neighborhood. I would like to see some higher density growth in the right places. I know that there are people concerned about the village project, and I think that we need to have a lot more discussion about this, because if we just put a giant 12-story building there, we will be infringing on some people's property rights, and I don't think that's right. I think that we should be making sure everybody has their fair say. I myself am opposed to amalgamation. I see that the more we centralize the power and the services, the farther and farther it gets away from communities. I think that we can collaborate with other municipalities to share services, and they can be win-win where both municipalities prosper and profit through proper contracts where we still maintain the control over Esquimalt's tax dollars. The more we amalgamate and push towards a CRD-controlled systems and have the CRD provide us these services, the less and less control we will have over the cost increases and the quality of service. So we could have contracts, we can collaborate, but I don't want to amalgamate. There's an old saying that good fences make good neighbors, and I like Saanich and View Royal as neighbors. I don't want them to be my roommates, though. I would like to see more referendums and more use of technology. We are moving forward, and we have so much access to internet, social networks, Skype. Almost every resident now has the means to access any councillors, and I guess not many people are feeling like they're being listened to. I don't believe any decisions by Esquimalt Council should be made behind closed doors, regardless of the Freedom of Information Act or not. We work for you, and so we shouldn't be allowed to hide anything from any resident in Esquimalt. I may not understand the Privacy Act or the Freedom of Information Act, but I do understand that council works for the residents, and you don't get to have your employees tell the boss, oh, well, you don't get to know that, sorry, we're not telling you. I think binding referendums would work. They may not work for everything, and I don't think that we should be governing by referendum, but we need more direct democracy rather than representative democracy. Council decisions should not be made by 7 people, they should be made by 17,000. Taxes. Doesn't everybody love taxes? I would like to see the municipality personally live within its means. We are facing very perilous economic times in the future. Just because we don't see riots and stuff happening in Canada right now, Europe is having massive economic troubles. Canada is in debt, definitely. And during these times, households will be expected to tighten our belts. Well, should we not expect the same from City Hall? If taxes would have to rise, I would like to see them capped at the rate of inflation. And I would also like to look at Esquimalt's spending and staffing and see if there are ways that we can cut our costs. Is our staffing adequate? Do we have too much? Are we paying our staff too much? Are we paying them too little? And there are ways where we can have services that people voluntarily pay for. They wouldn't exactly be taxes, but governments are supposed to offer services. And if we come up with ways to offer services that people are willing to pay for voluntarily and happily, that would be a much better way to go than just throwing another 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, 6%, 7%, 8%, 9%, 10%, 11%, 12%, 13%, 14%, 15% tax increase. I was going until he gave me the red card. Taxes stop.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks. Under the BC Police Act, every municipality is supposed to be allowed to choose their own services. Unfortunately, 7 people in Esquimalt got to choose what police service we were going to have. We're having a referendum question with the election. It would have been very easy to make the policing issue a referendum issue where we decide if we wanted Victoria Police, if we wanted RCMP, or if we wanted an Esquimalt Police Department. I don't buy that the Solicitor General gets to dictate to us what we're going to do in Esquimalt. We're Esquimalt. We should have our own police force if we want. We should be with Victoria Police Force if we want, or we should be with RCMP if that's what we want. But we don't know what we want because the report is blank. None of us get to see what the councillors got to see, and none of us got to make a choice. 7 people chose. Out of 17,000, that's like 0.0001%. How is that representative? You know, who are they representing? I don't know what the best service we could have got because I don't know why they chose RCMP, and I don't know what you guys would choose. I've heard people say that they want Victoria. I've heard people say that they want RCMP, and I've heard people say that they want Esquimalt Police back. We should be doing what we want and not having other people dictate to us. If we can have a referendum on a zoning issue, we can have a referendum on the policing issue. I've been to a few presentations where the oceanographers have said that what we're doing is fine. The problem is it is a public perception that we're dumping raw sewage into the ocean. We're not. And I'm worried about the CRD gathering more and more power over Esquimalt specifically, but as a region as a whole, we don't have to pay for sewage just because the province says so or the federal government says so. We can refuse and just not pay it. We don't want it. We don't need it. Why are we being forced to pay it? This is like $500 a year for each homeowner. What is that going to do for rent? Sustainable, low, affordable housing? Well, not if apartment buildings and rental buildings have to raise the cost for sewage treatment. Affordable visits to Esquimalt Recreation, not if we have to pay for the sewage treatment of Esquimalt Recreation. We have a chance to just tell them no and stand with the other municipalities that are saying no, we're not paying for it, we're not going to pay for it, and you're not taking our money, we're just not doing it. There comes a time where you have to stand up and say no, and I will stand up and I would gladly tell them no, you're not getting my money. If you guys want to pay for it, that's one thing, but I will be holding my money back. My family can't afford it. And I know lots of other families can't afford it either. Thank you. Okay, so I've talked to a few people about transportation, and everybody I've talked to has a problem with the 3 p.m. traffic jam that you can't get anywhere. You can't go down Admiral's Road. You can't go down Esquimalt. I don't really know how to solve this. I think we have to ask everybody. There are some solutions that I think might work, but we could be using the E&N Railway in conjunction with the big shipbuilding contract that's going to be down at the shipyard. I live on Esquimalt Road by Admirals, and I see people driving by in one person, one car all day for that 3 p.m. rush. And if we were using buses or rail, light rail, on that transit line to get people in and out of Esquimalt rapidly and efficiently, I don't know if it would need to be, we just allow some private contractor to come in and offer this service, or if we work with the base to differentiate times for people to get off, like maybe stagger them in half-an-hour blocks. I don't have the answer to the traffic solution. I would like to hear from you. I'm open to suggestions. And there's a few crosswalks that need some lighting and pedestrian controlled lights. That's about it. My priorities for a safer, healthier, and more vibrant Esquimalt community would really boil down to having council protect people's property rights. For safety reasons, you know, if Esquimalt Council is protecting our property rights, we won't have the CRD transporting toxic sewage through our communities. If we've got our municipality protecting our property rights from the CRD again, we have more money in our pockets to live healthier lifestyles, to choose to go to the rec center, to buy that new bike, instead of having to pay that new bike money to the CRD for sewage treatment or for LRT. And again, with property rights, we are able to create a more vibrant community by allowing the property owners to build businesses or houses that don't impinge on other people's rights, but are allowed the freedom to be creative and come up with innovative and new ideas that aren't just dictated to where, I kind of lost my train of thought, but where we're respecting other people's property rights, they will get to respect ours. And I think that if the Esquimalt Municipal Council is respecting, enforcing, and encouraging property rights with everybody, it will be a more vibrant, more safe, and more healthy city, municipality, and we could be an example for the rest of the communities around us. Thank you. I would encourage all of you to vote for me, obviously. I think that Esquimalt is one of the best communities in Canada. I've been coast to coast, and really the only ones that compare are in Prince Edward Island, another island. I would, as a councillor, stand against the ever-encroaching reach that the CRD is reaching into Esquimalt to govern us, to take our tax dollars, your hard-earned dollars. We are facing massive tax increases, and we need to have people that aren't going to say, well, the CRD has jurisdiction, well, the Solicitor General says so, so it must be so. You cannot govern without consent of the governed, and the CRD is governing without consent of myself, at least, and I hear a lot of other people. I don't want a sewage treatment plant. I don't think we can afford it. I don't want the $1 billion LRT thing. I don't think we can afford it. So I would encourage you to vote for me if you believe in more self-governance and property rights and lower taxes. You know, we need to have a freeze on tax increases and have us live within our means, both in our city hall and everything else. Thank you.